back here at NSUSpartans.com with our weekly coaches show with volleyball interim head coach, I should say, Brandon Duvall. And Brandon, you talk about we've had 2 wins now in a row. You're at North Carolina A&T last Friday, a 3-0 win. Here Monday against Savannah State, another 3-0 win. But then you turn right back around and you got South Carolina State Wednesday here at 6 p.m. But talk about building momentum like that, how you can build momentum with a couple wins.
It's just building confidence more than momentum. We talk a lot every time we've been in this situation. We talk a lot about our youth, how young a lot of our athletes are, and it's how much experience is going to be valuable to them. And so far this season, we're over halfway through the season, and a lot of our freshmen are starting to not play like freshmen. They're starting to get the bigger picture. And I think it has a lot to do with what we're doing in practice, what my assistant coaches have been doing with the players, and how hard practices have been, how aggressive things have been going. Ariel's come a long way. She started off the season strong, had a few issues in the middle with too many unforced errors, and now she's picking up her game again. Paige has picked up her game. Nicole's been very steady. Charlotte's been fantastic. Noelle's been great. Like, we're getting more and more people who are way more confident than when they were at the beginning of the season. And now instead of 3, we have 4, 5, and hopefully 6 people on the floor at every time with confidence. That's a deadly combination. And being at home makes that much bigger of a difference because we're in front of our crowd, we're in front of our fans. Home cooked meals, a little bit better rest in your own beds, things like that. So it's paying off.
It is. And like I said, the Savannah State was the first of a six straight matches here at home. And so you got South Carolina next week and then another 4 coming up. What are the advantages, and I guess is there any disadvantages as well, of being able to play for at least 2 full weeks like that at home?
The disadvantage, I guess, if there was one, is the fact that we're going to eventually have to get back on the road again. I think the first time we get back on the road, we'll be going down to South Carolina State, and then we go to Savannah the very next day. So, as much as we like being comfortable in our own surroundings, we got to keep in the back of our mind that we're going to eventually have to go in front of a hostile crowd, especially at South Carolina State. So hopefully, if we can get a pretty good win against them tomorrow, that'll make it much easier when we go down there playing in their atmosphere. Because we've got some great matches in the past with them. Their coach does a fantastic job. Their setter has been great. We've got to go down there and hopefully shut them down here, and then go down there and hopefully they realize that we're going to be a tough team and maybe put a little doubt in their minds. But I'll take the home stretch though. As long as we can play at home in front of our crowd, and every time we're in the gym, the crowd gets bigger and bigger. You can feel the support coming from campus. You feel the support coming from the overall community as well. I'm starting to see a lot of people in our community start coming to the matches, and that's great. And if we can get more and more people in the stands, the girls feed off of it. You can see it in our stats that the girls are comfortable playing at home, and so we like that.
Yeah, like you said, it's got to be helpful. You can home cooked meals, meals, and people. A lot of these kids are from Virginia, so their parents can come to the matches, and if you got a little bump and bruise, you don't have, sports medicine's right here,
right there. Yep.
And so it's been good like that. But one player, speaking of sports medicine, one player who has been kind of living there, it seems like recently, past few years, has been Paige, and she had a knee injury the first year she was on campus. Last year she had a concussion that kept her out the whole year. Now she's finally healthy. What has that been difficult for her, do you think, coming back from that? And what kind of advice did you give her? Beginning of the year, she hasn't played for it. It's been coming up 3-4 years since she played a full season. So what kind of advice did you give her as far as, coming back like that?
I reminded her when she was being recruited that she was one of the best players coming into our program that year. I was coaching Junior Olympics at the time, and we had a chance to play her juniors team. And they were great, and she was great. So to me, I felt this excitement saying, this is the kind of player we're bringing into Norfolk State. And I reminded her of that. I reminded her how excited I was, saying, you know this game. You've got great knowledge. You've got great ability, and you're going to help lead this group. And unfortunately, she had an ACL injury the very first match of the season, her first year, and then got a concussion before we even got into our first match the second year. So, a lot of that will toy with you a little bit. She had doubt, and coming off those kind of injuries, it's hard to feel comfortable on the floor. I mean, we're in practice situations, we're in serving, and you just see her kind of like a little concerned, making sure she doesn't get hit in the head again, or you can see her get up a little softer at times. But the more she gets in the weight room, the more we have her here in practice, working hard in practice, the more that becomes a distant memory for her, and the more confident she gets, and you can see it. Last night, or against Savannah, she had a fantastic match. She outdug our libero, which I know defensively she'd be great, and is doing a great job for us front row too. So I can see every single day we're in the gym it's another day where she starts forgetting about the past and starts looking more toward the future.
Let's head down to the court now and hear more from the redshirt sophomore and how she was able to overcome those injuries and the mental hurdles that came with it. Here now with Paige, and Paige, talk about those first 2 years there. You had the knee injury the first year. You're out all last year with that concussion. Talk about what it was like just not being able to compete for those full 4 years there.
Well, I know when I got the injury, I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was depressed, and it was hard sitting on the sideline watching everybody else enjoy playing and winning or even losing. I just really wanted to go on the court to play.
Has it been difficult this year coming back from that, especially because it's been at least 3-4 years now since you competed for a full season, so there was probably at least a little bit of rust there.
Yeah, in the beginning it was tough, but I worked a lot over the summer, which helped. So it wasn't as difficult as I thought it was.
So and you also had the whole spring as well. You
Yeah.
healthy then, so you had the time to get used to it.
Exactly.
What you talk about the hurdles must have been difficult. Obviously, there's physical hurdles. Come back from the knee injury. That would have been last year. You were coming back from that before you got hurt with that concussion. But there's got to be a lot of physical and then mental hurdles coming back from something like that. How was that for you?
Physically, the rehab was fine for my knee, but mentally, I wore a brace, which always reminded me of the injury. So it was hard playing, and I was wondering if I would jump, would I come down on one leg again, or if I turned the wrong way, would I twist my knee. So it was just a lot going on, but I had to block everything out and just play.
And then how has your play been this year? You've had some good matches there, and then there's still been times when you've struggled. You can see a little bit maybe the rust, you could say. But how do you think your season has progressed so far this year?
Coming back my first year, I think it's really good, considering I've been off for 2 years, and I know it'll only get better as I continue to play.
So how do you feel that you can improve as the season has gone on? What areas do you think you need to really work on to really get to the next level for yourself?
Not only getting stronger mentally, but physically too. Of course I'm lean, but I could always pick up a little bit more weight to get a lot stronger out there, which the weight room helps.
So was that kind of one of those things too, like you couldn't work out as much with your concussion, so you kind of were behind physically and trying to develop as kids do when they come in college. So, all right, well that was Paige, and we'll head it back up to Brandon. Back now with Coach Duvall, and Coach Paige had said that when she first got out there, especially after the knee injury, it was one of those things. She's wearing the brace. She starts thinking, is this am I gonna land on the knee wrong? You have that in the back of your mind. Actually, it's probably in the front of your mind at that point.
Right.
As a coach, how much time? You always talk about you got to teach these kids the physical aspects of the game, but there's probably a lot of mental, the mental aspect of the game that people don't always think about. That as a coach, that you have to focus a lot on as well.
Yeah, I look into what a lot of other programs in the country are doing, and the big ones like Penn State. We're very familiar with the staff at Penn State, and I look at see what they do out at USC, and some people actually hire a psychiatrist on staff. And it is it's one of those things in athletics where there is a lot to do with your mind and how you present yourself and how you approach competitive. What's your competitive nature and how you approach it. And when you get somebody like Paige who's coming off an injury, she's missed a lot of physical aspects of the game, and she had a lot of time to think about volleyball. So with her making her comeback, I can tell that she's a lot smarter of a player coming in, a lot wiser. So she's actually been able to improve in that aspect of her game. When you're in season like this, we try to have a lot of meetings. We talk about our standards and practices and what we do in our matches, and we talk a lot about the mental aspect of the game, but we really don't have a ton of time. A lot of the time, especially with a team this young, is you got to get in the gym and play. A lot less thinking, more reacting right now. And when we get into our spring season, the girls will get a nice break during between semesters, and a lot of things will register. Things will start becoming brighter for them, and when they get back, then we start talking more about the mental aspect of the game. They continue working in the weight room. We have a little bit of skill sessions to individuals, and we talk a lot more about the mental aspect of the game. And then with those combined, the competition season and the spring season, by the time we get back into competition season next year, they'll be that much better.
Yeah, you hear about it all the time in professional sports. A player comes into the NFL, for instance. It's not that they don't have the physical tools, but it's the mental part, learning everything, and that's the difficult part for them. So now we got, you had a good match against Savannah State. Now you got South Carolina State coming in Wednesday at 6 p.m. here at Eccles Hall, by the way. So And then you got Bethune-Cookman on Sunday at 3 p.m. here. So those are obviously two key matches. You know, Florida A&M has picked to win the Northern Division, but those two schools are right there, 2 and 3. So if you guys want to move up from your 4th place you finished last year, you got to take care of business against these teams, especially at home. So what can we kind of expect, or what are you guys expecting for these next 2 matches here?
I'm expecting to be a battle. We split with Bethune last year, and I think they're actually a little younger this year. They've got a lot of young freshmen on their team, and they're kind of in the same boat we are. I mean, we've got a lot of people who are just experiencing the college game for the first time, and it'll be a good match. I think Vanessa does a fantastic job down in Bethune. I think she gets her kids prepared, especially when they play us. It's always a battle. We're hoping that we can take care of business at home, and then when we fly down to Florida, take care of business there. And then, of course, South Carolina State, as usual, it's going to be a tough team. We looked at their stats. We're right in line with them right now. We're right in the same area on every single stat. So it's going to be a good battle. I think it's going to be a good show for everybody who's going to come watch. And, if we can get the win there as well, then we're going to have a great homestand all the way through. And then, really try to work towards our travel play when we go down to Savannah, and then when we fly down to Florida when we play A&M and Bethune again.
Yeah, so your team does. I remember looking at the stats before. Everyone's stats are half a kill better at home than away, so it definitely does help being there. So the Spartans will be here at Eccles Hall at 6 p.m. on Wednesday against South Carolina State. Then here again on Sunday at 3 p.m. Saturday is the match against Hampton there at football. So if you're done, once you have the football on Saturday, come here on Sunday, and you got a volleyball here at 3 p.m. against Bethune-Cookman. So, as always, for all your information on NSU volleyball and NSU athletics, visit NSUSpartans.com.